we have got a very, very interesting prime debate for this week, which I'm excited to do as well, because obviously we got Flav in here, who I assume is going to take my side on one of these things. And the three players that we're discussing in our prime debate today are Dimitar Berbatov, Fernando Torres, aka El Nino, and of course Carlos Tevez as well. Obviously played for Manchester United and Manchester City and West Ham in the Premier League. Fernando Torres for Liverpool and Chelsea. Berbatov for Spurs, Man United and Fulham.
Fulham, yeah.
As well, yeah.
I can go first maybe with Tevez. I think Tevez is outstanding.
When do we think these guys' primes are? Because Tevez was unreal for Manchester United in 07-08. But obviously his first season at City ended up with 29 goals in 42 games in all competitions. Fernando Torres, 07-08, great year for football. That was 33 goals in 42 games for him. Berbatov, 10-11. He was top goal scorer in the Premier League as Manchester United went on to win number 19, obviously including that incredible hat-trick against Liverpool. But he did have some unreal times at Spurs as well.
Yep.
His partnership with Robbie Keane, etc., was phenomenal. Go on, Buvey. You wanted to get stuck in?
Yeah, I can get stuck in on Tevez because there's a weird couple of years where he wins the Champions League with United, then he goes to City, and that first season at City, he single-handedly carried up.
Don't ignore that he helped West Ham save them from relegation.
I'm talking about the period of time where it was a kind of back-to-back couple of seasons where he was absolutely unplayable. His work rate was a factor that I think the other strikers can't really talk about in this debate. And then his quality of goal scoring. He'd score things from 30 yards out. He'd score free kicks. I've never seen anything like it. And there's a weird one for me. I kind of think he's one of the best players I've ever seen play for City.
Yes, people, what's going on? You are watching another clip from the club brought to you by Super 6. And remember, Super 6 is absolutely free to play. The link's in the description below. Download the app. Join our league. Club 23 is the code. Get in there. There's over 8,000 of you already in there. There's a free shot at £1 million this weekend. And all you have to do is predict 6 games results. Easy peasy. Get involved. See you on the other side.
Even kind of beyond Aguero. I know Aguero had a bit more time and iconic moments, but Tevez, his all-round quality was
his work rate was obviously ended bitterly between Manchester United fans and Carlos Tevez, but we were always remembering fondly, especially because of that year 07-08. His link-up play with Rooney and Ronaldo was phenomenal. His work rate was incredible. The style of goals he could score, he had this low centre of gravity. He'd bundle his way through loads of players, but he'd be using skill, tenacity, everything. Could score all kinds of goals as well. Carlos Tevez was an unreal player. What are your memories of Carlos Tevez? You two?
Yeah, I'm looking at these and I'm really struggling actually. I thought before I say anything, I should know what I think.
But what do you just think? When I say Tevez to you, how do you remember him?
Not weirdly, a brilliant player. Don't get me wrong. But the eulogising and lionising that the pair of you are doing about Tevez doesn't necessarily chime with my feelings towards him. I think he's very good, obviously an incredible player. But I think if you think about his time at Manchester United, he was always third best.
But he was, whilst he was third best, he was always, to Rooney and Ronaldo, who were unreal, and he was still a big part of that. Yeah. He played most games.
I don't think Tevez transcended the clubs he played for, that's the thing. Whereas some players like Ronaldo or...
He was incredible at Juve as well. I know we're kind of talking Premier League, but he was incredible at Juve.
Yeah, but he was he's the kind of player that was fully appreciated by pundits and the fans of the clubs that he played for, but outside of that, most people were just, he's good.
When he got going, I've never seen anything like it at a level. Even Aguero, on my life as a striker, I've never seen anything like it.
Very similar to Aguero, in that low centre of gravity, bundling his way around.
There was a 4-week run in the Aguero season. He came back from the whole golf thing, didn't want to come off the bench against Bayern Munich. Plays golf in Argentina for 6 months, I think it was. Comes back against Norwich City, and he's linking up with Aguero. He was overweight. He was fat, he was chubby, he was scoring things I've never ever seen before. Yeah. Honestly, I think he was world class beyond belief. He was scary good.
There's no doubt that he was world class talent. But we're arguing about
I think your praise was bang on. By the way, I'm just saying compared to Torres and Berbatov, I think he's right up there, if not ahead of both. In
terms of Carlos Tevez, in terms of juxtaposing him with these two players, I think it's very difficult here because although I appreciate
they're all three different players.
They're very different. But Dimitar Berbatov, in terms of, if you were to say to me out of these three, I've I've never seen Berbatov. I've never seen the likes of Berbatov apart from Berbatov.
Yeah.
And Fernando Torres, up until the season that Luis Suarez had, I had never seen a single season from anyone that Fernando Torres had for Liverpool. Like when Chelsea signed him, it was the moment where I believed that the European Cup was in, and weirdly, it kind of was, but not for the reasons that I thought.
Yeah.
Tevez, I've seen the likes of before. Of course, he's exceptional. I'm not for one second belittling his achievement or his contribution or anything. I'm aware of the dazzling player that he is. But he doesn't feel as unique. Like the fact that you keep bringing up Aguero, I think Aguero is better than him.
Yeah.
Whereas at Berbatov, for being Berbatov, I don't think anyone is even close.
If I had to watch one game and for my side, and I had to choose between one of those forwards, it would be Berbatov that I'd want to watch again.
Yeah.
The guy was magic. It was like when he signed for us from Bayer Leverkusen, a couple of games it sort of floated by, and you're like, is this geezer any good? And then suddenly you're like, oh my god, he's not just good. This geezer is special.
Yeah.
And there were elements to his game that wouldn't fit the modern era. And you know, he was the United side would almost built around his strengths, whereas at Spurs we got exposed at times because of his somewhat lackluster approach to the game, but that was also what was so magical about him.
Do you remember a game that we played? We played a Monday night game, and it finished 4-4. Joe Cole had the game of his life for us.
I remember it. Yeah,
he was something else.
Yeah,
John Terry managed to clear one off the line. It nearly finished 5-4 to you. It was Avram Grant's year, but Berbatov, like, it's very rare that I can sort of remember John Terry struggling. You know, there's the odd moment.
He's a genius.
We just didn't really know how to cope with Berbatov
Because there's no manual that teaches you how to play against him.
Do you know the other moment that he didn't score the goal? I think he put it on a plate for Ronaldo.
West Ham.
When he pirouetted on the touchline at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Down the other end to the Stretford, and you're just like, wait, what have you done? Like it sort of defies science and logic.
He's one of them few players. Like there was a goal he scored against Blackburn as well. He picked the ball up by our corner flag, so near our goalie. Played a 1-2 with someone, kind of just half-paced, jogging up the pitch, receives it back, keeps going. And he's next thing you know, he's scored a goal, and it's like 1-2 all the way up the pitch. And it's like, to play with that elegance and, you know, in a league that's so quick as well, and then to be able to just slow everything down at your pace.
Have you ever seen the goal that he scored? Have you ever seen the goal that he scored? I know I'm going to other lands, and we're going to do a Premier League thing.
I know what you're going to say.
Monaco.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. Yeah.
It's like one of the best goals I've ever seen.
There's a goal he scored for Fulham
one of the best goals I've
Does similar.
It's kind of like a catalogue of that moment where he pirouettes against West Ham. It's one of the best moments I can think of.
I can visualise it now.
Yeah, the goal that he scored for Monaco is one of the best, like easy. You know, the aim of the game, football. We make it very complex, and we talk about 6s and 10s and 8s and things like that. We make it. Whereas, you know what the game is? The game is get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone do it so easily as Berbatov.
He's very skillful on the list.
I need to get this ball in that place.
Remember his goal against Liverpool too, when he scored the hat trick, and there's a cross that come across, and he kind of brings it down on his knee, but he brings it down so easily it just looks easy and normal. But when you think about what he's done,
it's impossible.
Like really, that ball should have skimmed off your leg and gone out for another. How have you brought it down?
You boys won't remember this because it was a Europa League group stages. But we were playing a team called Braga, and like you heard of
Portugal. I know that. I'm not that. Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
Playing for Tottenham. Tottenham's a team.
Huddleston absolutely pinged this ball at Berbatov, and he was in midair and controlled it with his thigh and volleyed it before
in one move, in one
move.
fluid.
It was like watching a ballet dancer play.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
I used to get frustrated because at United towards the end, so we had Berbatov and Tevez at the time. Tevez's last season, he scored 5 goals for United in the league, I think. And Berbatov, like, there was this debate that became like this discourse. Keep Berbatov, get rid of Tevez. Keep Tevez, get rid of Berbatov. And he kind of became kind of unloved and just constantly compared to this guy that was running around like a headless chicken. Not to say that's all Tevez did, but I kind of felt like you just had to appreciate a certain style of
British
football
audiences,
to appreciate Berbatov.
British match-going audiences, particularly then, are always going to favour a Tevez.
Blood, sweat, thunder.
We're always going to favour a Tevez. It's very difficult to be Berbatov and win that fight in the stadium.
That was the hardest transfer, the hardest player to watch.
Do you look back on him fondly? Is he liked at Tottenham?
Him and Keane was so good.
And we remember where Spurs were then. Like, it was obvious that he was going to leave, as hard as it was. He was pretty much bundled into a boot and driven up to Manchester United, and then we got Fraser Campbell.
He nearly joined City, do you remember? You know, he joined City.
Did he really?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just how the song went. Berbatov, told City to fuck.
But I've never been more gutted to watch someone go because it wasn't. We weren't never going to win things anyway. But we were, certainly at that time we were more out of touch. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to see him play.
Was the move to Man United right? Obviously, he achieved a lot, but it never felt to me he hit the ground running in the same way at Spurs. He wasn't able to.
He didn't fit the style maybe as much at Manchester United.
It feels very Manchester
Especially for a
United player,
team. No, he
feels
was
very in
like,
keeping with the traditions
player
of
for
Manchester
Old
United.
Trafford.
Yeah, it's like Cantona-esque,
But the
isn't it?
style of football probably didn't fit, especially when you got Rooney bombing on and Tevez bombing on Ronaldo, and then you've got this guy jogging up from the halfway line.
Crazy had all four of them.
It doesn't. But I think we have saved who I think all of us are going to call the best out of these three till last.
Yeah, I think
Fernando, Torres,
I certainly think so. In terms of just being mesmerised by a player and sort of bewildered. I don't think I've ever felt like this before. Think of all of the glorious strikers that I'd seen play with my own eyes up until Torres that season for Liverpool. I don't ever remember just being like confused by the brilliance.
Yeah.
Fernando Torres, when he arrived, and do you know there's a quote actually that I remember Steven Gerrard. I think this probably surmises him. Chelsea had played Liverpool in the Champions League many times, and Liverpool had come out on top. We went to Anfield and we got a very positive result, which meant they had to score at Stamford Bridge. And the commentator said to Gerrard in the post-match, he said something like, "You've got to go to Stamford Bridge and get a result." He's like, "Well, we've got a result there before." And the commentator went, "But you've never scored there in the Champions League. They got through, but they'd never scored at Stamford Bridge." And do you know what Gerrard's reply was? It just always stuck with me. He went, "Yeah, well, we've never been there with Nando before, have we?" Because they'd signed Torres. He went, "Well, we've never been there with Nando before." As if, well, we're obviously going to score this time because we're going there with Torres. Torres did score, by the way.
Yeah.
And Liverpool went out, very important to note. But Torres did score. I think he put them 1-0 up. And I just remember the inevitability of Torres scoring.
Yeah.
I don't think that's applicable to any of the others on this list. The inevitability, the guarantee. You play Liverpool, he scores.
That period, there was a few, like the back end of his Atletico Madrid career, because I remember watching him at Atletico Madrid and being like, I remember my MSN name had El Nino in it because I loved him. Mm-hmm. And like, he went to Liverpool and I was just gutted, like, this guy is guaranteed goals, he's going to be the guy. And then he went to Liverpool and it was just... It kind of reminded me of, remember when Owen came on a scene and he was just rapid, just burning everyone, scoring goals for fun. And that's what he was doing. And it was, sometimes he'd be falling over, running into the box, but he'd keep control of the ball and bend it into the corner. And you're thinking,
what's that goal
how's he got that out of his
Blackburn?
It's a lot.
Blackburn. He takes it on his chest.
Yeah. Alan Smith scored one like that against Norwich. I've got to chuck that in.
You can't chuck that in. We're talking about some of the best strikers ever.
He scored one
Alan
against Norwich,
Smith.
chested it away from goal and hooked it over his shoulder. It was so good.
I think we're all in agreement, aren't we? Surely, Fernando Torres.
I'm surprised because I didn't think that either of you were going to agree with this, but yeah, I think it is.
No, I was a big fan of Torres.
I think it is Torres. Just for that, do you know what would have been an interesting thing here? Luis Suarez. Like Luis Suarez kind of changed it because his single season, and now Haaland's done it again. But up until Fernando Torres, I'd never seen anything like it. No. So yeah, it would go for me. It would go Torres. It would actually go Berbatov second. Not again. This is ridiculous. I feel like people are going to.
I do think Tevez was probably better at Manchester United than Berbatov, but my ratings will go Torres, Berbatov, Tevez. Just for the way Berbatov made me feel about football. Berbatov's my favourite on this list to watch, but I think Torres is the best in his prime, which this debate is. Buvey,
I'm Torres 1, Tevez 2, and Berbatov 3 for me.
Where are you, Flav?
I'm going Torres. I'd probably go in terms of the strikers you want over a season, probably, Torres, Tevez and Berbatov, but I'd only, if I had to choose one player to watch.
Yeah, I'll play a good game. We'll play a good game with the three of you quickly, right? City can have one of these players this season in their prime. What one of those players would score the most goals for City today?
Tevez.
Torres.
That's so weird. I think Tevez is more of a modern player.
Well, if you could pick any one of these players today?
For Spurs?
Yeah.
Torres.
Any one of these players for Man United today, Torres.